Okay, hi, my name is Eloy. I'm here to discuss shortly the muscles or what's involved with respiration. And I had built this model here according to some instructions. It's worth noting that the instructions at stage 11 wasn't the greatest, so I actually had to improvise and cut, if you can see here, the bottom of a 2 liter bottle and glue it upside down in the cavity to provide more structure for this balloon to stretch upon. So otherwise, the balloon was crushing it. It didn't have the structural integrity it needed. And so I also recommend an X-Acto knife, a hot glue gun, and some construction paper, which I just use regular printer paper here and stuff. But what this demonstrates is the diaphragm, and this would be like your central tendon. And if you pull, you can see the lungs inflate. So it does work, right? And so what's going on here is your diaphragm, right, has that central tendon that pulls down, and the air on the outside is negative, positive pressure, positive pressure, and your lungs at rest are negative pressure. And what that all has to do with is Boyle's law, where pressure and gases want to equalize or settle into one another. So, right, the positive pressure from the outside of atmosphere goes inside the lungs and then causes them to inflate. And then as you exhale or rest, the elasticity in your lungs kind of cause it to relax and then go back into the atmosphere. So, right, the top represents your throat, your mouth, or your nasal cavity. This first pipe represents your trachea, and these branching pipes or straws represent your bronchial tree, and then your bronchi, which eventually feed into your lungs, and then those sacs, the tiny air sacs that exchange gas, are your alveoli. And those are super important for getting fresh oxygen into your blood and getting CO2 out. And when I was studying anatomy, it was amazing that we all take this for granted, and just how intense and how much is involved with it and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. And of course, the bottle kind of represents your thoracic cavity, which your lungs and your heart sit in. And another thing that I thought was pretty interesting is that you can survive just on diaphragm breathing alone, which is pretty crazy. But it's not much of a life because, right, you can't really move your neck and your chest and stuff, which do play a huge part in breathing and like stability and being able to expand your rib cage and depress it. So expansion and depression, and that's huge. And you have a bunch of accessory muscles like your sternocleidomastoid there that helps. And then of course your pectorals, major, minors, and then you got your serratus posterior and stuff like that. But that's not all included here. Another thing worth mentioning too is like the pleura that enclose your lungs. So you have your visceral pleura that actually encase the lungs, and that's like a membrane or like a lining. And then inside the thoracic cavity, you have the parietal pleura that help with the friction of breathing. That's the whole thing, is it's able to kind of smoothly and without much friction kind of glide off one another. So yeah, this is pretty interesting model and everything that you make about breathing and everything. So the important thing though is that we all take this stuff for granted, but as soon as something's wrong, we definitely know something's wrong, and it can affect your whole life. So it's very important to study and know just how respiration works. And thanks for watching, and have a good day.